Whether you're on top of the world or down in the dumps, whether your trading is going great or is a buzz, one thing's by your side always through it all, lighting up smiles around the world for all. Nothing says you care like crypto. Nothing can compare. Nothing says you care like crypto. Oh, nothing can compare to crypto.
Imagine this. A woman in her mid-30s, once confident that the world owed her everything because she was told she was special, now sitting inside a 2012 Honda Civic at 2 a.m. in a Walmart parking lot, eating cold fries with the last $12 on her debit card, scrolling through social media, watching other people live the life she thought was guaranteed to her forever. She posted the memes, she celebrated the slogans, she told men to leave her alone, told them their attention was unwanted, told them the future was female, and that she didn't need a man for anything. And now, years later, the rent is 3 months late, the friends disappeared when the free dinner stopped, the government check barely covers the car insurance, and the silence in that front seat is deafening. If you stick with me to the very end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly how we got here, why millions of men decided to walk away forever, and why most of them are never, ever coming back, no matter how loud the crying gets. You will want to hear every single word, because what is happening right now is bigger than dating, bigger than relationships. It is the quiet collapse of an entire social contract that nobody wants to talk about out loud until today. Before we dive in, do me a favor, smash that like button right now. Share this video with every man you know who needs to hear this truth. Subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, click that notification bell and select all so you never miss a single upload the moment it drops. We are building the largest movement of awake men on this platform, and I want you in it. Also, if you want to protect everything you are working for and actually grow real wealth in this collapsing economy, go down to the description right now and click the link to Angry's Crypto Academy. That is where I teach regular guys step by step how to buy, store, trade, and protect their crypto the right way so the system can never take it from you. Thousands of men are already in there building generational wealth while the old world burns. Click that link and join us today. And if these videos are hitting you in the chest the way they are supposed to, show some love and buy me a Red Bull through the link in the description. Every can keeps the fire coming. Let's get into it. There is a wave sweeping across this country that nobody in the mainstream wants to talk about honestly, because it completely destroys 50 years of propaganda. Women who spent the last decade proudly declaring they don't need a man, who mocked men for even daring to approach them in public, who celebrated the idea that a woman with a cat and a wine glass was the ultimate life, are now flooding social media with a brand new message. And that message is simple: please somebody, any man, come save me. They are making tearful videos from inside their cars, from homeless shelters, from their parents' basements at age 38, begging men to start dating again, begging men to approach again, begging men to pay for dinner again, begging men to care again. And the craziest part, the same men they told to get lost, the same men they called creepy for saying hello, the same men they accused of every imaginable sin just for existing, those men heard the message loud and clear the first time. They walked away. And now that they have tasted peace, now that they have tasted financial freedom, now that they have tasted a life without constant drama, criticism, and financial extraction, they are not walking back. They are sprinting in the opposite direction and building fortresses around the life they finally have. Let me paint the picture for you so clearly that you feel it in your bones. Go on any major platform right now, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, whatever, and you will see video after video of women in their late 20s, 30 seconds, and even 40 seconds openly crying about the fact that men have disappeared. They say things like, "Where did all the good men go? Why won't men approach anymore? I can't even get a text back, though dating is dead. I'm scared I'm going to die alone." And then in the very next breath, they will tell you they make six figures, they have their own house, they have a master's degree, they go to therapy, they do yoga, they love to travel, they are a boss babe, they are high value, and yet they are sleeping in a 2018 Toyota RAV4 with blackout curtains made from trash bags because the rent in every major city became impossible on one income the day the music stopped. How did we get here? How did the gender that was promised everything now end up holding nothing? The answer is actually very simple, and it is the part nobody wants to say out loud. Women, as a group, made a collective decision over the last several decades that they no longer needed men for provision, protection, or really anything at all. They wanted equality, they said. They wanted independence, they said. They wanted to prove they could do everything a man could do and better. And society cheered them on. Governments expanded benefits. Corporations created entire HR departments to push women forward. Universities started discriminating against men in admissions to balance the numbers. Laws were changed to make men financial slaves after relationships ended. And men watched it all happen. They watched their fathers destroyed. They watched their older brothers lose everything in court. They watched their friends falsely accused and canceled. And at some point, a critical mass of men looked around and said, wait a minute, why are we still participating in a game that is clearly rigged against us? So they did exactly what they were told to do. They left the game, they walked away, they went their own way. And what nobody predicted, what absolutely nobody in the feminist think tanks or the university gender studies department saw coming, was that when men walk away, they don't just disappear into sadness. They disappear into peace. They disappear into freedom. They disappear into the best version of their lives they have ever lived. And once a man gets a taste of that peace, once he realizes that his money stays in his pocket, that his weekends are his own, that his home is quiet, that his gym time is uninterrupted, that his crypto portfolio is growing, that nobody is nagging him about taking out the trash or why he didn't text back fast enough. Once he feels that in his soul, there is no offer on earth that can drag him back into the plantation. I want you to really think about what has happened here. For thousands of years, human civilization was built on a very simple, very brutal, very honest contract. Men went out into the world, faced danger, built things, fought wars, died young, and in exchange, they received authority in their homes, respect in their communities, and the promise of legacy through children. Women, in exchange for that protection and provision, handled the home, raised the children, and supported the family unit. Nobody pretended it was fair. Nobody pretended it was equal. It was a trade. And it worked well enough that we built skyscrapers, went to the moon, and created the most prosperous societies in human history. Then one day somebody came along and said, actually, women don't need to give men anything anymore. They can have careers. They can have government benefits. They can have no fault divorce. They can have children without a father in the home and still get paid. They can sleep with whoever they want and face no social consequences. They can accuse any man of anything and watch his life burn with zero evidence required. And men, you still have to keep providing, you still have to keep protecting, you still have to keep approaching. You still have to pay for dates. You still have to risk everything. But now you get nothing guaranteed in return. And a whole lot of men looked at that new contract and said, hard pass. And here is where the story gets really interesting. When men stopped playing, the entire system that was built on their forced participation started to crack. Because here is a truth nobody wants to admit: modern society was never built for women to carry the load alone. All of the so-called progress, all of the girl power anthems, all of the you go girl corporate campaigns, all of it was built on the assumption that men would keep working like mules in the background while women got to live out their boss babe fantasies on Instagram. The government benefits women relied on, paid for mostly by male taxpayers. The safe neighborhoods they lived in, protected by male police and soldiers, the infrastructure that kept the lights on and the water running, built and maintained overwhelmingly by men, the corporate jobs with the nice salaries created in companies built overwhelmingly by men. So when men said, you know what, we are done subsidizing a society that hates us, and they quietly started opting out, working just enough to survive, investing the rest, living minimally, avoiding marriage, avoiding children, avoiding long term relationships. Hey guys, in a world pushing you to own nothing and be happy, crypto is your key to survival. Join Angry's Crypto Academy to master buying, selling, and trading crypto. Make huge profits and safeguard your wealth. Plus, discover the one crypto virtually no one is talking about, poised to create new millionaires in the upcoming bull run. The link is in the description of the video below. Go check it out now. Avoiding even approaching women in public because the risk is now insane. When that happened on a large enough scale, the entire house of cards began to wobble. And now, in real time, we are watching it collapse. You see it in the videos of women crying in their cars because the rent is $2,000 for a studio apartment and their corporate job pays $19 an hour after taxes. You see it in the viral posts where women admit they have not had a single date in 3 years because men stopped approaching. You see it in the statistics that show marriage rates collapsing to all time lows while male happiness is quietly going up for the first time in decades. You see it in the explosion of men building home gyms, buying grills, stacking crypto, starting small businesses from their bedrooms, and living better on 40,000 a year than they ever did, making 100,000 while trapped in a relationship. And the best part, most of these men are not angry anymore. That is the part that terrifies the system the most. They thought men would rage. They thought men would protest. They thought men would beg to be let back in. But men didn't do any of that. Men just smiled, closed the door, turned on the PlayStation, fired up the smoker on the balcony, poured a drink, and got very, very quiet. And that silence is deafening to a gender that spent decades addicted to male attention, male provision, and male sacrifice. I want you to understand something deeply. The average man needs almost nothing to be happy. Give a man a small apartment with a good internet connection, a gaming setup or a home gym, a refrigerator with meat and cold drinks, a clean bathroom, and peace and quiet, and he will live like a king until he is 90. Men are natural minimalists. Clutter stresses us out. Drama exhausts us. Financial bleeding makes us miserable. So when men remove women from their lives, they don't sit around missing the chaos. They breathe the deepest sigh of relief they have ever felt and immediately start turning that extra money and time into a life that actually feels like living. Women, on the other hand, were never built for minimalism. Women were built for community, for nesting, for security, for more. That is not an insult. That is biology. And when the more disappears, when the free attention disappears, when the government checks get smaller, when the corporate job no longer covers the lifestyle, the panic sets in fast. And that panic is what you are seeing all over social media right now. The same women who bragged about being independent are now begging for someone, anyone, to save them from the independence they demanded. And the men are in the best shape of their lives. They are stacking assets. They are traveling on their own terms. They are building brotherhoods online and offline that actually respect them. They are sleeping 8 hours a night without someone arguing about the thermostat. They are eating steak they paid for themselves. And most importantly, they finally have peace. This is only the beginning, brothers. We are less than 4,000 words in, and we have already laid the foundation for what is really happening. In the next part, we are going to go deeper into why 2026 is going to be the year everything changes forever. Why the state is completely broke and can't save anyone anymore. Why women's final bargaining chip is gone for good, and exactly how you can position yourself to not just survive what is coming, but absolutely thrive while the old world burns to the ground. Now we are going deeper, much deeper, because what is happening right now is not just a dating crisis. It is not just a loneliness epidemic. It is the final unraveling of a social experiment that lasted 50 years and is now hitting the wall at 200 miles an hour. And the craziest part is that almost nobody in the mainstream is willing to say the quiet part out loud. Women traded men for the state. They celebrated the state as their new husband, and now the state is flat broke, defaulting on the promises it made. And women are standing there with empty hands, wondering why their government daddy stopped paying the bills. Let us walk through exactly how that trade happened, because when you see the timeline laid out plainly, the current panic makes perfect sense. Go back to the 1960s and 1970s. The deal starts shifting. No fault divorce becomes legal across the Western world. Suddenly, a woman can walk away from a marriage for any reason or no reason and still keep the house, keep the kids, keep half the assets, and get monthly checks forever. Men start losing everything overnight for the crime of being married. Then the welfare state expands massively. Single mothers become the most protected class in the Western world. Have children with no father in the home. Here is free housing, free food, free medical, free daycare, and a monthly check that increases with every additional child. Men watch this and realize that marrying a woman now means competing with a richer, more powerful husband who never argues, never leaves the toilet seat up, and never asks for anything in return. The state just became the ultimate provider. Fast forward to the 1980s and 1990s, corporate jobs explode for women. Affirmative action in universities and workplaces pushes women ahead of equally or better qualified men. The message becomes crystal clear. Women no longer need a man's income because the government and corporations will give them money and status just for showing up. Then the 2000s hit and social media arrives. Attention becomes currency. A moderately attractive woman can now get thousands of likes, hundreds of messages, endless orbiters willing to buy her drinks, pay her bills, send her money on Cash App, all for a few selfies and some attitude. Why settle for one man who expects loyalty, respect, and children when you can have an entire digital harem funding your lifestyle and telling you you are a queen every day? By the 2010s, the deal is sealed. Feminism evolves into its final form. You can have sex with whoever you want, with zero consequences. You can destroy any man's life with a single accusation. You can have children with no father, and the state will pay. You can divorce and become richer than you were while married. You can live in a big city and post thirst traps for rent money. And any man who complains is a misogynist who needs to be silenced. And men watched all of this happen in real time. They watched the laws change. They watched the culture shift. They watched their own fathers, uncles, and brothers get destroyed. And at some point enough, men looked at each other and said, "Why are we still signing up for this?" So they stopped quietly, gradually, but completely. They stopped approaching women in public because the risk of being labeled a creep or worse is now life ending. They stopped committing to relationships because the downside is financial ruin and the upside is drama and criticism. They stopped getting married because marriage is now the worst financial decision a man can make in the West. They stopped having children because the state made it clear that children belong to the mother and the government, not the father. They stopped caring about women's complaints because every complaint came with a demand for more money, more attention, and more sacrifice while offering nothing in return. And here is the part that almost nobody wants to admit. When men did that, when they finally honored what women had been screaming for decades, "We don't need you, leave us alone," women discovered something terrifying. They discovered that independence is expensive, really expensive, and the bill always comes due. Rent in every major city doubled and tripled in 10 years. Groceries went up 50% in 3 years. Car insurance, health insurance, student loans, everything shot through the roof at the exact same time that men stopped subsidizing women's lifestyles. The same women who bragged about making six figures discovered that six figures in 2025 buys less than 50,000 bought in 2005 after taxes, rent, and inflation. The same women who said they would rather talk to their cats than deal with men discovered that cats don't pay rent, cats don't fix the car, cats don't carry groceries up 3 flights of stairs, and cats definitely don't protect you when society starts to crack. And society is cracking, brothers, hard. Economists who are not afraid of being canceled are now openly saying that 2026 is going to be the year the United States hits levels of instability most people thought were impossible. Trillions in debt that can never be paid back. Interest payments on the national debt about to surpass defense spending. States going bankrupt. Cities unable to pay police and firefighters. Supply chains still fragile from the pandemic. Commercial real estate collapsing, the dollar losing reserve status faster than anyone predicted. And when the government checks start bouncing, when Section 8 waiting lists become 10 years long, when food stamps get cut by 40% because there is no money left, who exactly do women think is going to step in and save them? Because it will not be the men who already walked away. Those men have spent the last 5 to 10 years preparing for exactly this moment. They live in small towns or cheap apartments. They drive paid off cars. They have no debt. They stack physical assets, crypto, skills, and brotherhood. They learned how to grow food, fix engines, lift weights, and defend themselves. They turned their bedrooms into command centers and their balconies into gardens. And most importantly, they removed every financial leak from their lives. And the biggest financial leak for the last 50 years has been women. I want you to really let this sink in. The average man, when left alone, naturally drifts toward minimalism and self reliance. He buys what he needs, invests the rest, and enjoys his peace. The average woman, when left without male provision or government provision, drifts toward panic and collapse because her entire operating system was built on the assumption that someone else would always handle the hard parts. That is not hate. That is observable reality playing out in millions of lives right now. You see it in the videos of women crying because they make 80,000 a year and still cannot afford a one-bedroom apartment in any city with a decent job market. You see it in the viral threads where women admit they have not had a single man ask them out in person in 5 years. You see it in the homeless shelters that used to be 90% male and are now filling up with women in their 30s and 40s who never thought this could happen to them. You see it in the explosion of OnlyFans and sugar baby sites where women are literally selling intimacy to strangers because the regular dating market dried up overnight when men decided peace was worth more than access. And the wildest part, the same voices that spent years telling men to leave women alone are now furious that men actually did it. They call men weak. They call men losers. They call men emotionally stunted. They say men are afraid of strong women. But the truth is much simpler and much more brutal. Men are not afraid of strong women. Men are tired of ungrateful women. Men are tired of entitled women. Men are tired of being told their only value is what they can provide while being treated like a threat for existing. So men did the most rational thing possible. They kept their provision and walked away. And now winter has arrived, just like Kevin Samuels warned. And it is colder than anyone imagined. Ladies, if you are watching this, understand something clearly. The men you want back are not hiding. They are not scared. They are not broken. They are living better than they ever have. They are sleeping like babies. They are eating ribeyes they grilled themselves. They are watching the game with zero commercials because they sail the high seas. They are lifting heavier than ever in home gyms they built with the money they used to spend on your birthdays. They are stacking Bitcoin while you are stacking regret. And the longer you wait to admit the obvious, that you were sold a lie about independence that was never sustainable, the further behind you fall. Because men are not coming back to save a system that hates them. Men are not coming back to subsidize lifestyles that offer nothing in return. Men are not coming back to a dating market where the rules are written entirely by people who despise them. The door was closed, the lock was changed, and the key was thrown away. And for the brothers watching this, let me speak directly to you right now. If you are still on the fence, if you are still thinking maybe one day things will go back to normal, let me save you years of pain. They will not. The old world is dead. The social contract is shredded. The game is over. Your peace is the prize now. Your freedom is the prize. Your wealth is the prize. Guard it with your life. Everything you are seeing right now, the crying videos, the viral panic, the sudden flood of women saying they are traditional now, they want to cook, they want to submit, they want a family, all of it is market correction. The price of female attention just went from free to astronomical because supply crashed overnight. Do not get suckered back in by a fire sale on something that destroyed millions of men before you. Stay focused, stay building, stay free. Now, we are going to cut straight to the part that makes people the most uncomfortable because this is the final nail in the old bargain. Sex itself is no longer enough to bring men back. For decades, the running joke was that men would do anything, build anything, fight anything, endure anything, if there was even a promise of intimacy on the other side. Entire civilizations were built on that promise. Men climbed mountains, crossed oceans, worked 60-hour weeks in coal mines, all because at the end of the day, there was a woman, a family, a legacy, and yes, regular access to physical intimacy as part of the deal. Then the deal changed, and men adapted faster than anyone thought possible. Think about what actually happened over the last 20 years. Intimacy went from something that required commitment, respect, and mutual sacrifice to something that was expected on the first or second date with zero commitment in return. Women were told, and many believed, that giving it away early and often was empowerment, that casual encounters were liberation, that a body count in the double digits was something to brag about on podcasts. And for a little while, that strategy worked because there were always enough thirsty men willing to line up for scraps of attention, hoping that maybe this time it would turn into something real. Then the internet finished the job. High-speed connection gave every man on earth access to unlimited material that is often better looking, always available, never argues, never asks where the relationship is going, and costs less per year than two or three average dates. At the same time, the risk of pursuing real women in the real world went through the roof. One wrong word, one misinterpreted joke, one jealous ex, one viral clip taken out of context, and your job, your reputation, your freedom can be gone before the sun comes up. So millions of men did the math and realized that the cost benefit analysis on pursuing women in 2025 is insane. The result? An entire generation of men looked at sex the way they now look at credit card debt. Sure, it feels good in the moment, but the interest payments will destroy your life. And once men reclassify physical intimacy from asset to liability, women officially have zero leverage left. None. They can offer beauty, they can offer companionship, they can offer children, they can offer home cooked meals and submission, and all the things they suddenly discovered are traditional. But if the core bargaining chip that underpinned the entire system for thousands of years is no longer desired, the house collapses. And it has collapsed. You see it in the statistics nobody wants to talk about. Male sexual activity across the West has been dropping for over a decade. Large percentages of men under 30 report zero partners in the past year, not because they cannot get it, but because they no longer see the point when the downside is so obvious and the upside is so temporary. You see it in the explosion of communities where men openly state they are done with dating, done with relationships, done with the entire game. You see it in the passport bro movement, men leaving the West entirely because they realized they can live like kings in other countries for a fraction of the cost and actually be appreciated while doing it. And please do not misunderstand me. This is not about hating women. This is about men finally choosing themselves after being told for 50 years that choosing themselves made them monsters. Men looked at the contract, saw that every clause was written to benefit only one side, tore it up, and walked away. And now that they are discovering something their grandfathers never got to experience: what life feels like when your time, your money, your energy, and your peace are 100% your own. Let us talk about children for a minute because this one cuts even deeper. For most of human history, fatherhood was the ultimate male purpose: build something, protect something, pass something on. That was the deal. You worked, you sacrificed, you died younger than women, and in exchange, you got a family that carried your name, your values, your bloodline. Then the system changed the rules again. Have children inside marriage? 50% chance you lose them, lose your house, lose half your income for 20 years, and get supervised visitation if you are lucky. Have children outside marriage? You still pay, but you get zero authority and zero respect. Hard times are here. Jobs are disappearing fast. And if you lose yours, you could be homeless in a few months or even a few weeks. But it doesn't have to be that way. Check out Angry's Creator Academy and learn how to build your own online business using YouTube to grow it. And get the free creator blueprint when you sign up. The link's in description below. Go check it out now. The state made it crystal clear. Children do not belong to their fathers anymore. Children belong to mothers and to the government. Fathers are just mobile ATMs with severe legal liabilities attached. So, guess what an entire generation of men did? They looked at children the same way they now look at marriage and dating: the single worst investment a man can make in the current system. And birth rates across the West are now collapsing faster than any expert predicted. Countries are panicking. Governments are offering bonuses, free housing, tax breaks, anything to try to get men to sign up again for fatherhood. But men are not stupid. They see the trap. They watch their dads get destroyed. They watch their friends become every other weekend Disney dads who live in studio apartments while paying for houses they no longer live in. And they said, no, thank you. The result is that women in their late 30s and 40s are now flooding fertility clinics, freezing eggs they will never use, making desperate videos about how they are ready to settle down now, how they finally understand what they want, how they will make amazing wives and mothers if someone will just give them a chance. And the silence they receive in return is deafening because the men they ignored in their 20s are now in their 30s and 40s making 200,000 a year, debt free, passport in hand, and zero interest in becoming a retirement plan for someone who spent her prime years treating men like disposable entertainment. That is the part that stings the most for a lot of women watching this right now. Many of them genuinely believed the propaganda that men would always be waiting, that men have no options, that men would line up no matter how they were treated because biology. And now they are discovering that men have options they never had before, standards they never enforced before, and peace they are unwilling to trade for anything. I want you to picture a man right now who 5 years ago was making $80,000 a year, stuck in a relationship where every paycheck disappeared into rent, shopping, restaurants, vacations he did not want, and constant criticism about how he was never enough. Fast forward to today. Same guy, same job, maybe even a small raise, but now he is single. He moved to a smaller city or a cheaper state, drives a paid off truck, lives in a modest apartment or a tiny house he owns outright, has a home gym in the second bedroom, crypto portfolio growing every month, freezer full of ribeyes, balcony with a smoker and a big green egg, friends who actually respect him, sleeps 8 hours a night, travels 3 or 4 times a year to places he actually wants to go, and zero drama, zero financial bleeding, zero walking on eggshells. Tell me honestly, what exactly does the average woman bring to that man's life that is worth blowing up the paradise he spent years building? Beauty fades. Youth is already gone for many. Attitude is usually entitled. Children come with 18 years of financial obligation and zero guarantee he keeps them. Marriage comes with a coin flip chance of total destruction. The math does not work. It never will again under the current rules. And the rules are not changing back, brothers. Anyone telling you that society is going to swing back to traditional values because women are suddenly cooking videos on TikTok is selling you hopium. The legal system is not changing. The culture is not changing. The incentives are not changing. The only thing that changed is that men finally woke up and decided their lives matter more than keeping a broken system on life support. This is why you are seeing the explosion of men going overseas. Thailand, Colombia, Philippines, Eastern Europe, men are voting with their feet and their passports because they realize something profound. Respect, affection, peace, and traditional dynamics still exist in other parts of the world, and they can be obtained for a fraction of the cost and zero legal risk. A man making $60,000 a year in the United States can live like a millionaire in many countries and date women who actually value masculinity instead of criminalizing it. And once a man experiences that reality, coming back to the West feels like volunteering to go back to prison. Meanwhile, back home, the reality for many women is getting harsher by the month. Rents keep climbing, layoffs keep coming, inflation keeps eating paychecks, government benefits keep shrinking. And the men who used to fill in the gaps are gone. Not angry, not protesting, just gone. Living quiet, happy, fulfilled lives that no amount of crying on social media can touch. We are now entering the part of the story where we stop observing the collapse and start building the fortress. Because watching the old world burn is only useful if you are standing on ground that cannot burn with it. And that is exactly what millions of men are doing right now. They are turning their apartments, their garages, their backyards, their bank accounts, their bodies, and their minds into compounds the collapsing system cannot touch. And the beautiful part is that it does not require $1 million. It does not require genius level IQ. It does not require anything except discipline and the willingness to stop giving your life away to people and systems that hate you. Let us start with the foundation of every unbreakable life: money that cannot be taken and time that cannot be stolen. The average man who walked away 5 or 10 years ago did two things immediately. First, he slashed his expenses to the bone. He moved out of the overpriced city, or he found the cheapest, decent area within commuting distance. He bought a used truck or car with cash and drove it until the wheels fell off. He got a roommate or lived in a small studio because square footage is the fastest way to bleed money. He cooked 90% of his meals: steak, eggs, chicken, rice, ground beef, repeat. He canceled every subscription he did not use daily. He stopped eating out except on rare occasions with real friends. He stopped buying new clothes every season. He learned that 4 solid pairs of jeans, 10 t shirts, 2 pairs of boots, and one good jacket is a wardrobe that lasts 5 years and still looks sharp. Second, he took every dollar that used to disappear into dates, birthdays, vacations he did not want, shopping trips, and random "I saw this and thought of you" purchases, and he weaponized it. He paid off every debt that had interest. Credit cards gone, student loans gone, car note gone. Then he built an emergency fund that covers 6 to 12 months of all expenses, not wants expenses. Then he started stacking assets that grow while he sleeps: Bitcoin, Ethereum, index funds, physical silver, whatever vehicle he understood and believed in. And he did it month after month after month, boring, quiet, relentless. 5 years later, that same man who used to live paycheck to paycheck now has no payments except rent or a small mortgage, a growing pile of crypto that could 10 times in the next cycle, zero debt, and the ability to quit his job tomorrow and be fine for a year or longer. That is not luck. That is what happens when you stop setting your money on fire to keep other people warm. Next layer of the fortress: the body. The moment a man removes female validation from his life, he usually does one of two things with the extra time and energy. Some men get soft and play video games 16 hours a day. Those men lose. The men who win turn that extra energy into muscle, stamina, and power. They buy a power rack, some plates, a bench, and a pull-up bar for less than $1,000 and turn the second bedroom or the garage into a private gym. They follow a simple program: squat, bench, deadlift, pull ups, overhead press, rows, 5 days a week, eat 4,000 calories of meat and rice, sleep 9 hours a night. 2 years later, they are 230 pounds at 12% body fat, stronger than 95% of men walking the earth, and carrying themselves in a way that makes problems walk in the other direction. Third layer: skills. The men who are truly untouchable spent the last decade learning things the system cannot outsource or take away: welding, plumbing, electrical work, engine repair, gardening, coding, copywriting, sales, crypto trading, woodworking, whatever pays and cannot be canceled. Many of them started side businesses from their kitchen tables that now make more than their day jobs: lawn care companies, pressure washing, detailing cars, flipping items on marketplaces, building websites, running YouTube channels, creating digital products, whatever the market needs. The point is simple: when you have multiple streams of income that do not depend on a single employer or a single location, you become extremely hard to control. Fourth layer: location. The smartest men realized years ago that living in a major coastal city in 2025 is financial suicide unless you are already in the top 1%. So they moved. Some went to small towns in Texas, Tennessee, Florida, Idaho, places where a 3 bedroom house still costs less than a parking space in San Francisco. Some went fully remote and now split time between the United States and lower cost countries. Some bought raw land for pennies on the dollar and are slowly building compounds with their own hands. The common theme: they put geography between themselves and the collapse. Fifth layer: brotherhood. The men who are thriving the most right now did not just walk away from women, they walked toward other men. Private discords, gym crews, church groups, jujitsu academies, hunting clubs, masterminds, crypto communities, whatever the flavor, they built tribes of like minded brothers who have each other's backs when things get weird. Because the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. Put all 5 layers together: low expenses, growing assets, unbreakable body, multiple skills, smart location, real brotherhood, and you have a man who is functionally immune to almost everything headed our way in the next 5 to 10 years. Inflation can triple. The dollar can lose another 50%. Cities can burn. Governments can default. None of it touches him because he already opted out of the system that is now eating itself alive. And that is exactly why 2026 is going to be the great filter. The men who spent the last decade preparing are going to look like prophets. The men who spent the last decade chasing women, likes, clout, and consumerism are going to look like they slept through the fire alarm. We are already seeing the previews: layoffs in tech, commercial real estate imploding, states cutting benefits, insurance companies dropping coverage in high risk areas, supply chain disruptions that never fully healed. All of that is the opening act. When the real show starts, when the government can no longer borrow trillions every year to paper over the cracks, when cities start defaulting on police pensions, when grocery store shelves look like 2020 again, but this time permanently, when power grids start brownout seasons because no one maintained them, the difference between the prepared man and the unprepared man will be measured in years of life expectancy and quality of life. The prepared man will have solar panels and batteries, a year of food in the pantry, a well or water filtration, firearms and training, cash and crypto, outside the banking system, skills that people suddenly need again, and brothers who will ride with him. The unprepared man will be standing in a government breadline arguing with a woman who expects him to save her after she spent 10 years telling him he was worthless. That is not hyperbole. That is the trajectory we are already on. And this is where the story gets hopeful for every man still watching who feels behind. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be to start building right now. You do not need permission. You do not need $1 million. You need a decision and 90 days of relentless action. Cut every expense that does not make you stronger or richer. Move if you have to. Lift 4 days a week. Read 1 hour a day on money, skills, history, strategy. Stack every extra dollar into assets that cannot be printed. Find 3 good men and lock arms with them. Do that for 1 year straight, and you will look back and not recognize the man in the mirror. Because the collapse is not coming to destroy the prepared man, the collapse is coming to set him free. We are in the final stretch now, brothers. The part where we stop talking about the fire and start handing you the exact blueprint to walk through it untouched. This is the section men will come back to in 2026 and 2027 when everything I have described is playing out on the news in real time. This is the part you screenshot, save, and execute before the window closes for good. First, the exact assets you want to own before the music stops completely. Number one, and I'm not going to soften this, Bitcoin and Ethereum in self custody, not on an exchange, not in an ETF, not in some custodian's wallet, on a hardware wallet you control with a seed phrase written on steel and buried in 2 locations only you know. Why? Because when the dollar starts its final leg down, when banks start limiting withdrawals, when capital controls become a weekly headline, the only money that will move freely across borders without permission will be hard money that no government can print. Men who own their keys today will be the millionaires of tomorrow, while everyone else is begging for government digital rations. If you still only own dollars in a bank, you are volunteering to be poor in the next system. Number two, physical silver. Coins, rounds, bars, whatever you can stack in a safe or hidden in your house. Silver is the ultimate insurance policy when trust in paper collapses. It has been money for 5,000 years and will be money again when fiat dies. Buy it every single paycheck, even if it is 1 ounce at a time. 10 years from now, your grandchildren will thank you. And number three, paid off real estate in a low tax, pro freedom state or country. Texas, Florida, Tennessee, Idaho, Arkansas, parts of the Carolinas, places where the government still remembers it works for the people. A modest 3 bedroom house on a quarter acre that you own outright is worth more than $1 million mortgage in California when the grid goes dark and property taxes triple. If you cannot buy yet, rent the smallest place possible and stack until you can. Number four, tools and equipment that produce value. A pressure washer and a trailer can make you $200 an hour on weekends. A welder and a truck can make you $1,000 a day when infrastructure starts falling apart. A drone and an editing computer can make you a full-time living on YouTube documenting the collapse itself. Whatever skill pays cash and cannot be offshored or automated, own the tools to do it. Number five, 1 year of food, water filtration, and basic medical supplies. Rice, beans, oats, canned meat, freeze dried meals, whatever stores for decades and fuels a working man. A Berkey or equivalent plus extra filters. A solid first aid trauma kit, and 6 months of any prescription meds you need. When grocery stores empty for weeks instead of days, the man with the pantry eats steak while everyone else fights over the last rotten potato. Now, the daily routine that turns soft men into unbreakable ones in 12 months or less. Wake up at 5 a.m. every single day. No snooze. Cold shower. 10 minutes of deep breathing or prayer. Lift heavy 4 days a week. Squat, bench, deadlift, pull ups, overhead press, rows. Simple progressive overload. Eat 4 meals built around meat and eggs. Minimum 150 grams of protein. Walk 10,000 steps or do 20 minutes of rucking on off days. Read 1 hour every night. Finance, history, strategy, skills. No social media after 8 p.m. Lights out by 10 p.m. Do that for 1 year, and you will be in the top 1% of men in health, wealth, knowledge, and discipline on the entire planet. The mindset you must burn into your soul right now. Nothing is coming to save you except you. No politician, no stimulus check, no lottery ticket, no perfect woman who suddenly sees your value, no boss who finally promotes you. Only you, your decisions, your discipline, and your brothers. Everything else is noise. Final warning for any man still tempted to go back. If you are watching women on social media suddenly talking about submission, cooking, traditional values, and you feel that old pull in your chest, understand what you are actually looking at. A drowning person offering you a lifelong contract to be their lifeboat. They are not offering partnership. They are offering a rescue mission where you risk everything and they risk nothing. The same laws still exist. The same courts still exist. The same culture still exists. The only thing that changed is the price tag went up because supply crashed. Do not refinance your freedom for a temporary discount on chaos. And to the women who made it this far, if you are hearing this and something inside you knows it is true, there is still time, but the clock is brutal. The men you want are not hiding, they are building. They are stacking, they are training, they are traveling, they are living lives so full that adding unnecessary drama feels like volunteering for cancer. If you want any chance at all, you must become the kind of woman a high value man would pause his empire to build with. That means fitness, femininity, peacefulness, loyalty, cooking, gratitude, and zero entitlement. And even then, most of the best men are simply done. The door is closed, the ship has sailed, the wall has been built. Your only real option now is to become the best possible version of yourself for your own sake and hope someone notices. Begging will not work. Shaming will not work. Crying will not work. Only radical self improvement and genuine humility have any shot left. And even that is a long shot. Brothers, this is the vision on the other side. 10 years from now, the men who listen today will own land, businesses, assets, brotherhoods, and freedom that the old world could only dream about. They will wake up every morning owning their time, their money, their body, and their future. They will grill steaks on patios they own while the news screams about collapse and chaos. They will teach their sons, if they choose to have any, how to be strong, free, and untouchable. They will look back at 2025 and realize this was the moment they chose themselves and everything changed forever. We started this video with a woman crying in her car at 2 a.m. because the life she was promised evaporated overnight. We end it with millions of men waking up in small houses they own, drinking coffee they brewed themselves, watching the sun rise over land they control, breathing free air, and smiling because they heard the truth early, acted on it ruthlessly, and now live in a reality the old system can never touch again. That is the prize. That is the finish line. That is what men walking away actually built when they finally honored what they were told to do for 50 years: leave women alone. Like the video, if it hit you in the chest the way it was meant to. Subscribe and turn that bell to all so you never miss another upload. Share this with every man you know who still has time to get on the right side of history. And just remember, all roads lead to MWA, men walking away to cheers.
Nothing says you care like crypto. Nothing can compare. Nothing says you care like crypto. Oh, nothing can compare to crypto.